Welcome into the DNVR Rockies podcast, brought to you by Strava Craft Coffee and no music. That's fine. Remember to use that promo code DNVR25 to get 25% off your entire purchase of that CBD-infused, deliciously rich, and potentially life-altering Strava Craft Coffee. Also, don't forget to subscribe there. You got to subscribe to the Strava Craft Coffee system. Really, it's a full system. They'll keep sending it to you. You get a lot of discounts. It's great. I'm your host, Drew Kreisman, the managing editor of DNVR Rockies. With me, as always, are the team, the beat writers here at DNVR Rockies. We got Patrick Lyons, we got Michaela E. Perkins, and we got a baseball series of games to very lightly discuss.
Drew, I can't argue with you on that.
I do want us to get into, obviously today's game a little bit. We'll get into each one individually, but I'll start, Michaela, with you on this. I feel like for those who were kind of most pessimistic about the Rockies coming into the season, with that tinge of realism, this is, I think, what they expected to see. 3 games where the starting pitching was pretty good, and the hitting and bullpen just was not there.
Yeah, I think unfortunately this game was pretty much indicative of the expectations that not everyone, but a lot of people set for the Rockies coming into this season. I think it really showed the glaring weaknesses that the team has. And unfortunately, it resulted in the Rockies getting swept by the Giants. I think the Rockies have 3 major issues: the performance of their bullpen, leaving runners on bases and not taking advantage of scoring opportunities, and then the amount of walks that the rotation and the bullpen in general are issuing. So, unfortunately, it isn't just like one issue that's easy to fix. I think a lot of these issues stem from inexperience. Some of the guys from the bullpen being, obviously younger. Ben Bowden really struggled the other day, but we have to remember that was, only like his 3rd or 4th pitching appearance. And a lot of these guys who are playing in the majors now didn't have a minor league season last year because of COVID. So I think we're seeing a lot of the effects of unfortunate circumstances kind of taking their toll on the Rockies. And this performance pretty much was what we were expecting to see from the 2021 Colorado Rockies.
And with them being so inexperienced, I mean, you look at this Giants lineup, and they essentially, outside of some of their starting pitchers, they're all over 30 years old. Like, this is a veteran club, and a veteran club was the one that ended up winning the series. All the games were pretty close, and again, the Rockies didn't look great overall, but they've had their opportunities. And a veteran club is going to win those games. And I don't even think the Giants were particularly clutch this weekend, not for the most part, right? They ended up scoring more runs, and that's the whole point of the game at the end of the day.
Let me double check the rule book like I had to in the first series. A lot less of that. This was just some basic.
You knew what page to turn
to. Had more runs than the other guys.
They get the win.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
And I think, and since that opening day win against the Dodgers, now the Rockies are 2-7. If you just look at the Diamondback series and Giants series, like they're kind of the template. Like, those are the 3 teams kind of battling for 3rd place or last place in the division. I think they're all relatively close. They might be farther apart than we think by the end of the year. We'll kind of find out. So, Rockies take 2 out of 3 from Arizona, but then they get swept by San Francisco. I think it'll probably be a lot closer than 2 and 4. When it comes to these Giants D-back series, it'll be a little bit closer to 500. I do see, the Diamondbacks and Giants still, winning the series against the Rockies over the course of the season. But hopefully they can, make sure that this losing streak doesn't get too deep down and dark, because it's a challenging season, regardless. And I do have worries about the defense. I think that could be something that remains to be seen. And but at the end of the day, it's a very inexperienced team. It's a young team, and this is what we want. I somewhere along the line, we've discussed this idea of like, do we want CJ Cron in there? Yeah, he's a great ball player, but his at-bats will come at the cost of potentially Rogers when he comes back, Fuentes, McMahon, Hilliard, and Hampson. And if you want to go with a younger lineup, you're going to lose your share of games, and that's 2021 right now in a nutshell, right?
For now, he's not costing anybody, but once Rogers comes back,
right,
that's going to be. I think that'll be one of the top conversations because of that, especially if they've kind of sort of continue to lose at this clip.
Right? And Owen's on the IL too,
right?
That kind of clears up more playing time,
right? And those decisions will be interesting to see at what point they sort of flip that switch, and do the thing. But the other thing I want to point out, I'm really glad Michaela brought up the experience today, and I had actually been thinking less about the complete lack of like real live competitive full pro baseball for a lot of guys on the Rockies team right now. A lot of these guys like Hilliard, Nunez, Daza, who we haven't seen a ton of, but these guys are playing, a big role early in the season, and some of them got off to a start. But the other thing what I had been thinking of instead of that was a lot of these guys, it's their first road trip as pro Rockies members. Welcome to the Coors Field hangover effect. This is the very first time that a lot of these guys have ever had to deal with what we know is one of the most difficult hitting environments in all of baseball, which is not Coors when you're a member of the Rockies. It always has been. It probably always will be unless some dramatic changes are made, to Coors Field or whatever. But for now, as it is, I've had this long running theory. It's difficult to totally pin down and prove with numbers because there's always, there's counter examples, but Ian Desmond's first year in Colorado, Gerardo Prara's first year in Colorado were their roughest years. A lot of guys, come over that first getting used to that balance when you're a rookie. In addition to all of that, it's not even, you've got the experience of Major League Baseball to fall back on. So I expect we'll see a few of these road trips this year where the offense goes pretty quiet, and it's going to be a combination of these things, the inexperience in general. Some of it's going to be the lack of depth and talent, to be sure, but also these guys for the very first time in their careers figuring out this Coors Field hangover effect. And we don't know yet who's going to do better with it and who won't. I've liked the early returns on Tapia, I will say.
Yes, six runs every game at home during those first 7 games. This series, a little over 1. They scored 4 runs in 3 games versus 42 over 7 games. And with the Coors hangover, Drew, it almost sounds like you wanted Trejo in the lineup at shortstop, batting cleanup, because he didn't have that issue going on, right? He was fresh.
Put him in there. Let's see what happens.
I just don't want people to think like we're trying to make excuses for the Rockies, but we're trying to look at this from like all areas. We have to understand that this roster is so young. There are so many players on this roster right now who have made their first major league debut this season, who didn't get any live bats or hardly any action last season because of COVID in the minors, where they would have had more time to develop. So these are all just kind of contributing factors to like what the overall issue with the Rockies are right now. Of course, there's no excuse for bad performances, but it's just like we can't ignore the fact that a lot of these guys are young, inexperienced. You just need time, and that's what you're getting. Performances like this series are what you're going to get when a majority of your roster, is so young and so inexperienced. And I think that's something that we all need to be aware of, because it's one thing if you want to fix like the command of a pitch or your swing, but when it's just something that comes down to lack of experience like that, nothing will fix that except for time and going out there and failing and learning from your mistakes and trying to get better from there. So
yeah, that's the gift and the curse of this entire season, is that they're going to lose a lot of games, but in the process, there's going to be these young players who we kind of figure out, hey, this guy is a dude. Like, he needs to have that opportunity. He's going to be the starting whatever position. Whereas if you go and, there's still even some free agents that are available right now with David Robertson. You used to go sign Yasiel Puig. Is that going to help you win a championship? Obviously not. This isn't a roster that needs another, reliever. Like, oh, David Robertson is pretty good, or needs a guy that maybe could be an all-star outfielder. Again, that's still not going to make a difference in this roster making the postseason. What that's going to do is delay the timeline of these young guys kind of, having their opportunity to come up. So you can't block them. So it's difficult. It's a gift and a curse in so many ways.
Yeah, I want to point to a specific moment in this game, actually. And normally we would break a game down like this if we were expecting the team to be a little bit better. I'll go to this moment because our guy Matt in the Discord, and we tend to disagree on just about everything, but I actually fully agreed with his assessment of this situation. There's a moment in the 6th inning. Rockies get runners at second and third with one away, with Story and Blackmon having come up with hits in the inning, moving up on a deep fly ball that Ryan McMahon just missed that could have put him on the board. But then Fuentes and Hilliard come up, and neither of them had terrible at-bats, but neither of them had very good at-bats. There was a moment, particularly I thought Josh Fuentes looked overmatched in that moment. He hasn't all year. First pitch, I'll take you through the at-bat. First pitch is up and in. He's excited. He tries to go up and get it. You got to let that thing go. Force the umpire to call it a strike. It probably wasn't. That's a tough pitch to handle. The second pitch is where he really got messed up because DeSclafani helped. I'm never going to say that name, Mike. DeSclafani.
His nickname is Disco. Just call him Disco. It's probably going to be easier for everyone. Yes.
This was the pitch. This was the moment where the game could have swung for the Rockies, and it didn't. He hung him an 0-1 changeup. It just sat right there in the middle of the plate. Josh was out in front, swung through it. That's too aggressive of a swing in that situation with runners at second and third. You know, if you're underneath that a little bit, you weigh back and you're underneath it and you hit it into the air to the outfield, sack fly. If you're a little bit too aggressive over the top, but you're still got a contact swing, you're going to hit that thing into the dirt. The infield's back, grounder, and a run scores. But he just got too outside of himself. He swung through the baseball, put himself in an 0-2 hole where he had to get way too protective. Then Disco threw a phenomenal breaking ball. He had no chance on it. He threw much better pitches to Sam, who battled a bit, but still ended up swinging through a very hittable fastball on the final pitch of that at-bat. And that shows you everything we've just been talking about, right? That's youth and experience. Those guys first time with the hangover effect. And now the future question is, do they learn and get better from it or not? But if you're ready to bury Fuentes and Hilliard because they didn't do it in that spot, so therefore they'll never do it. That's the distinction I think Michaela is trying to say, right? That's where we're going. Like, yeah, they're going to lose some games because that's going to happen. But we're going to keep watching because at some point, one of these guys, and we're not sure who, is going to come through in one of those big moments. And then they start coming through in those big moments a part of their thing. And now guess what? They're an integral part of the Rockies' future, the next team that will be successful. And that's going to be fun to watch who emerges into that class.
We even saw it in the 7th inning. There was runners on first and second. When Hampson tried to get the bunt down, they got the lead runner at second base. And first and second with one out, and you actually had Story and Blackmon coming up, and just couldn't get it done. Hangover effect, whatever you want to call it, but it's hard to heap all that pressure on those guys. I mean, this team went to the postseason in 2017 and 2018, and was able to win games when Nolan wasn't at his best. But that was because he had a group of guys around him that could pick it up. It wasn't just a one-man wrecking crew, and the Rockies can't do that with just Story and Blackmon, and who's to say, even if one of those two guys were to get a hit, they score a run or two, then they lose 4-2. We don't know. So that was something they struggled with last season, is hitting with runners in scoring position and kind of moving guys over. We saw them do that a little bit the first week of the season in Colorado, and particularly in that opening game. Yeah. Hampson, just lay down a sack bunt and ended up legging it out and looked fantastic. So they're gonna have to do those little things a little bit better, even though they might not lead to wins and losses. It just leads to the natural maturization of these players to know, as we're saying, who's a dude, who isn't, who can you DFA and say, we can give up hope, or include him in a trade and say, you know what, we like your young guy a little bit better than our young guy. Oh, you like him? Okay, cool. You can have him. And that's fine, because we know we have X, Y, and Z. We know that those Lost Boys have come through during that 2021 and 2022 season. And you figure it out and say, okay, these are the guys that we need moving forward. We don't know who those guys are. We're going to find out through another 153 more games. I think I got the math right.
I'm not checking it. All right. We got to get into some 20th and Blaze in just a minute. But first, before that, we've got to let you know about our friends over at DraftKings. You know about DraftKings by now, of course. But if you haven't gotten in on the action, literally, you need to. It's a whole lot of fun, whether you're just a veteran at betting on sports and you've been doing it your whole life, or you're like me and you really didn't know what was going on with all this stuff until DraftKings came into the life of all of us here at DNVR, and it's really easy to learn about. We've got explainers all over the YouTube channel. By the way, make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. We've got a DNVR Bets program that you can check out. We've got semi-regular shows that we're doing now for you here on the Rockies beat. You don't want to miss these. They're not on the podcast. It's only on the YouTube channel where Matt, Patrick, and I are giving our picks for you before games, over-unders on strikeouts, sometimes who to hit the home run, who to win the game, and who not. It's a whole lot of fun, especially when you're pretty sure the Rockies are going to lose most of the time. Taking the over, say, on Germán Marquez to get some strikeouts today would have been a nice way to get a little win out of being a Rockies fan today. It's all those kinds of things. It just makes it so much more fun. And sometimes it actually ends up putting more money in your wallet. So make sure that you check them out. You download it right now. And if you do so, use the promo code DNVR when you sign up. You'll turn $1 into $100 in free bets if the basketball team of your choosing hits a three. That's it. It's a three. They don't got to win the game. Nothing. Just it's a three-pointer. You've turned $1 into $100. That's code DNVR. Turn that dollar into $100 in free bets for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. Colorado only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. And if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700.
They give such amazing odds for some guys on the Rockies to hit a home run.
I know.
That for, like, again,
it.
dollar bet, $10 bet, you're going to multiply your money by 10. Fuentes did it the other night against the Dodgers, and he was over 1,000 plus or plus 1,000. So if you put $10 on it, you want $1,000. You want $100, I should say. $100 bet, you want $1,000. Like, it's crazy. That's one way to keep it fun for sure, thankfully.
And if you want to make sure you've got more money sitting around that you can go and bet on things at DraftKings Sportsbook, check out our friends at Gabby. It stands for Get a Better Insurance, and that's literally what they help you do. It's so easy. I know some of you have heard me say this before. I'm not making it up. I went to their site, gabi.com/DNVR, really easy. Within 10 minutes, I put in just a couple little pieces of information, gotten back a whole bunch of quotes from a bunch of different insurance companies, picked the one I liked the best, ended up saving me $480 for the year. But that's just my story. AJ Hafley saved a bunch of money here. Lindsey Sauer saved a bunch of money here. We all know Eric Weedham is basically a legend at this point for having saved over $1,000 at Gabby. Not really sure what was going on with him there, but still very excited.
He can afford to go to the All-Star game this year because of Gabby.com, right? Like, put it in that perspective. You go, okay, now hold on. You've got something. Gabby.com/DNVR. Yeah, now I'm going.
Yeah. So remember, it stands for Get a Better Insurance. That's the way to remember it easily. They save, their customers save on average $961 per year. You're probably paying too much for your home or car insurance. No one wants to throw money away on those things. Check them out. You'll just save money if you do. All right. And do we have that 20th and Blaze? Since we're sort of done with the game, I think we can recontextualize the rest of the series because, quite frankly, no one had a great series for the Colorado Rockies.
No. No, a couple guys chipped in with a couple hits here and there, and you go, all right, this guy's kind of getting back on track, like we saw it with Trevor Story a little bit. But this is a good series to forget about, folks. This is a great series to forget about. And I am a little worried there could be the rest of the month might be a month to forget because they've got 11 games coming up here where they go on the road to LA. Then they welcome the Mets at home, the Astros for 2 games. That's right. April 20th, 420.
Okay.
Go. And if, we're not going to encourage people to purchase inflatable trash cans and to do anything like that.
I am. I am fully encouraging all of you
get those trash cans now before they sell out.
We're not encouraging people to go to a certain website that we will leave in the chat room later. We do not want people to do that. And then even after that, at home they got the Phillies again who are playing nice, and then they go back out to San Francisco. So this is they've had a tough month. Yeah, and again, the Rockies usually play fairly well, and they can be surprising even when they haven't had a good club. So I don't think it'll be as bad as it could be, but they got a tough road ahead of them this week.
Yeah, I think this was the first just boring series. And I never find baseball boring, but again, if you're talking about what are we going to look back on at the end of the season, like we've done this before, we have nothing to add. We can do this segment real quick, right? We at the end of the last 2 series, we did this. What will we remember at the end of the year? We've been able to update our top 5 things that are memorable. And
will we remember that they moved the bullpens? I mean,
that
but
even technically happened in this series.
Yeah,
I guess
the Giants are boring. The Giants are just boring in general.
Neither one of these teams was, like you said, even the way the Giants scored their runs was.
Michaela, if you were in the PR department for the San Francisco Giants, and they say, Michaela, we need somebody electric to post for the cover of the San Francisco Giants 2021 yearbook. Who you got? You got your pick. Who's Mr. Electricity in that Giants clubhouse?
Oh God. There's not a lot of options.
Buster Posey came back to play this season.
Brandon Crawford, I guess. I don't know. I mean, he did really well against us this series. I mean, I think, I agree the Giants are boring, but they killed us with their starting pitching. Like, their starting pitching looked way, way, way better than ours did. So I don't know if I want to sit here and talk horribly about the Giants because they just swept us. So they were doing something right, and they might be boring, but they won 3 in a row. So
that's true. Sure enough. Their rotation is on par, I think, with the Rockies. However, their guys are a little bit older, and a lot of them on like 1-year deals. I think DeSclafani is only on a 1-year deal. Gausman, Cueto's on the final year of his long-term contract. So I mean, I'd still way rather have the Rockies rotation going forward because most of the rotation's coming back next year.
Right. And like you said, they're younger, so they might unlock some potential moving forward. Where like Johnny Cueto is pretty good, but we know and he was great the other day. I don't take anything away from him. But,
shimmy.
Yeah. All right. Do we have 20th and Blaze, or are we locating 20th and Blaze? Which is fine if we are.
On GPS?
We have it.
Okay.
I wrote it. We have it.
Oh, okay.
Do we need to use Waze to find 20th and Blaze?
Where is that street? You said the Stroh's on 420, right? So boom. Oh, here we go.
All at once.
Oh, all at once.
We're binging on it, baby.
Let's just go through. Well, number 5, Germán Marquez. Let's start with him because he pitched today. Looked for a second like he was maybe going to turn a frustrating first inning there into a dominant outing. He got on a run in the middle innings that looked like some vintage dominating Marquez. I do still think he more or less turned a corner in this game, actually, and we can talk more about that. So
he wasn't Marquez that we were hoping. Like, I had this storyline in my head of, again, the Rockies only had a 2-game losing streak, going into today, but it was that 2019 season where they're 3-12, and then he shows up on a Sunday matinee game in San Francisco, and he's got the no-hitter going. And I'm like, it's going to happen again. Oh, wait, Alex Dickerson. Come on, dude. Like, this guy is he's the new Will Myers. Let's just face it. Like, he is just dominating the Rockies.
I do think Will Myers is still the old Will Myers.
No doubt. Like, Dick Monfort owns a majority. He owns at least 51% of the Rockies, but then a large majority of the rest is owned by Will Myers and Alex Dickerson. So, but
now that Matt Kemp is retired, someone had to take over.
There you go.
Has he actually retired? Actually, I'm not sure that's right. He's just not playing. But yeah, Mac, what'd you make of Marquez today?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think Marquez put the team in a position to win. It wasn't the best position to win, but it was a performance that was good enough that if the Rockies offense was clicking and the bullpen wasn't as bad as it is, the Rockies could have won that game. Obviously he's doing a lot better with, locating his pitches in the command. He had 7 strikeouts today, which is the most he's had in the 3 starts that he's made so far this season. So, obviously he's striking out more batters, which is great. The 3 earned runs wasn't awesome. I would have preferred, a few less runs on the board, but we'll take what we can get, I guess. So, I mean, it wasn't, I don't think it was an ace-worthy performance, but it was a performance that put the Rockies in a position to win. They unfortunately just did not capitalize on it. I think he's definitely working out some of the kinks that he showed in the first 2 starts. So, if he continues on this trajectory, it's a good trajectory to be on. I just hope, we can dial down on the earned runs.
Yeah. Outside of the first and 6th inning, I mean, Marquez, right? He did what he needed to do. So you summed it up really well, Mikhail. I like that idea that, look, he did what they had to do to try to win a ball game, and Rockies they're gonna lose their share of games when the pitcher goes out and does what they need to do. Unfortunately, this year, and it just is what it is.
Yeah, there's one last note I want to make on Marquez, because I've been pointing at this throughout all of spring training and coming in with his first couple of starts this year, and that he just didn't have the right command of his fastball, something he had talked about. Still coming out of the stretch, he looks a little bit strange, but there had been an inconsistency in his mechanics this season, and it was particularly affecting. And by mechanics, I don't mean like his delivery. I mean his release point on his fastball, which is why he didn't have the best command of it. And in the first 2 innings today, he was still fighting with his basic pitch. He didn't have it. I've compared it several times in the past to a jump shooter in the NBA, not having his jump shot and just kind of trying to find other ways to score. So he's throwing a bunch of sliders and stuff. He piped that 3-2 fastball to Dickerson. You can't, that's gonna get crushed.
That was on a rope. Literally, you could not ask for more of a rope than that pitch, because
it was right there, right? And that was just not, and at 94 miles an hour too, which suggested to me that he's trying not to walk the guy and he's placing a pitch on a 3-2 count. Marquez is directing the ball rather than trying to dial up to 97 and throw it by him, because he didn't have that confidence. And then sometime near the end of inning 2, beginning of inning 3, it just happened. It just like a jump shooter, getting it back, and you fade back and you shoot one with a guy right in your eye and splash, and it's back. And for the rest of the game, now I know they got another run on him. Brandon Belt hit a curve ball that wasn't the best, wasn't the worst. It didn't hang in the middle of the plate. It's a good hit. Look, even when you have your best stuff, good hitters are going to get you sometime. You're not going to be perfect. Go and look at the best prospects in all of baseball. You go, why doesn't this guy just throw a no-hitter every single time out? It's baseball. It's almost impossible to do. It's really hard. So the Brandon Belt, that's where Michaela's talking about, in a Marquez starting where he begins the game with the stuff he had from inning 2-3 on, he probably still gives up that home run to Belt. You're not going to be perfect. He's going to give up 1 run, not the 2 he gave up in the first inning. And then there was that weird mistake by everybody involved on letting them steal the bag there. Everyone messed up there. Marquez has got to step off. Fuentes is off at first base, not doing anything. But Hampson's not covering the bag at second. Everybody messed up on that play to allow the second run to come in. You can't do that. But I do think Marquez is going to be pretty good moving forward because of that.
Oh, yeah. No, for sure. Yeah, when a guy doesn't have his best stuff and is struggling a little bit, and yet goes out and essentially has a quality start for the most part, that guy's a pretty darn good pitcher. So hopefully he can straighten it out and will give us some more of those no-hit moments, because not going to lie, I certainly was jealous after seeing Joe Musgrove throw that no-hitter Friday night for San Diego. And you're like, when's Colorado needs – oh, they very much. That's the last team in baseball, right? 53 years they waited.
They were incredibly due.
That was awesome. I got goosebumps. That was a cool moment.
It was great. So, yeah, Kyle Freeland, we'll wait to see. He was there in San Francisco. Him and Brendan Rodgers were both there. We got notification that they're kind of, working their way back. Freeland was thrown off of flat ground. So, if the Padres are able to get their first no-hitter, maybe Kyle Freeland, the local boy, much like Joe Musgrove was the local boy in San Diego, maybe Freeland throws a perfect game this year. I don't know, but you're gonna win a lot of money on DraftKings if you can bet on that. I'll tell you that.
There was almost one today. Luke Weaver for the Diamondbacks took a perfect game until I think the 6th inning or the 7th inning.
Yeah.
And didn't do it against Colorado. So there we go. All right. Silver linings.
Good stuff. Man, I feel bad. 13-13 jar, as it were. Down at the bar, got shots for us, and we're not down at the bar. I will say, I think our Nuggets and Avs guys are down there. So the Nuggets guys are down after a tough loss.
We got golf Nuggets and Avs at the bar right now.
So Nuggets guys,
any of those guys.
Nuggets guys have left, but Avs guys are still here. We're about to do a show, and then the golf guys just finished up their show, so they're headed over towards the bar as well.
I'm thinking 13-13 jar knew we weren't there, bought the shots, was like, well, I mean, I can't let these go to waste. And then Adam's coming by, and Eric is like, oh crap, I gotta chug these things real quick before I have to share. It's okay. We know where your head's at. It's smart. It's strategic. It's sabermetric for the bar. That's what that is. Totally. It's the analytics for the bar.
All right, who's number 4 on 20th and Blaze? Raimel Tapia tapping a little bit more this series, not doing anything. Again, it's not ripping the ball over the wall since the Buehler home run, which is kind of whoa. But doing very Tapia things, taking the ball where it's pitched, hitting it around. I saw somebody call him singles collector today. I was like, yeah, singles collector. But there he goes, doing a good enough job putting the ball on the bat to get on the list.
He's got a little 4-game hit streak going. You know, he hit in every game this series. 2 hits the last 2 nights, the last 2 days. And I like where he's at in the lineup too. I mean, I think we talked about it maybe Friday, like this idea that, okay, if Hampson can be the leadoff hitter, he's a righty. Tapia would be fitting a lot nicer, I think, as the left-handed complement, batting second. Story back to the right. Blackman batting left, hitting cleanup. So, like, it's a good top of the order, and it's going to help you later on in the game. Whereas if you've got those lefties stacked together, well, you know, if it's Tapia McMahon, then, you know, later on in the game, you know, the left-handed reliever in the other team's bullpen, believe it or not, that is a thing. A left-handed reliever in a bullpen is going to come in, and you're just going to stack those 2 guys up. So I like that in the order, and Tapia is quietly doing what he did much of last season. He's collecting those singles, nothing wrong with that. Getting on base, which is that's part of your job if you're at the top of the lineup. Let's face it, however you do it. And he's not really striking out as much. In fact, he hasn't struck out since April 6th.
Oh, I wish I didn't.
Anyone noticing that? He's only had struck out 3 times so far this year.
I was noticing it was less. I wish you hadn't just told me that, though.
So you could guess how many?
That is.
How many does it feel like he struck out? Like 5, maybe 6?
Yeah. And so it's been 3 times. Like that's big. One was in a real bad spot in a potential game winner, I think, in that overtime. Calling it overtime these days. It's not even extra innings anymore.
It kind of is overtime.
It's overtime now. Mac, how you feeling on Raimel Tapia these days?
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys kind of summed it up really nicely. I think he's doing exactly what he needs to be doing for this team right now. And I think too, you know, a lot of his experience, because I guess for all purposes, he's one of the veteran players on the team, which is really weird to think about.
Isn't that funny?
He is.
So, you know, I think his experience in the majors is kind of playing a role in this. You know, he's one of the longest tenured people on the Rockies roster right now. So, you know, I think you're seeing a lot of that experience play into his performance. He has the 2nd highest on-base percentage on the team right now, just behind Rymack. So, you know, you guys said it. He's getting on base. He's doing what he needs to do to help this team out. You know, unfortunately, the people coming behind him aren't helping him out and scoring him when he does get on those bases. You know, obviously we've talked about already, the Rockies are really struggling in situations with runners in scoring position and kind of capitalizing on those moments. But Raimel's doing everything in his power to contribute. And I think he's, you know, he's doing everything that I've wanted to see from him. So if he can keep doing that, I think, you know, we're in for a special season from him.
Couple nice running catches today as well, coming in on some. He had a few in Colorado he didn't get. Part of that is because the outfield is much larger, and I think you saw a couple of catches today where, as I thought, particularly back to their overtime loss to Arizona, the 2 balls that he didn't quite get to because he had to patrol a much larger space. Very similar hits today, 2 of them that he got to because the outfield was just a little bit smaller. But
do we think he's going to come close to robbing another home run all year? Which again is a circumstance that doesn't have anything to do with him. The ball has to be in a certain location, right?
I don't know what it is about him because you're right. There's a randomness to being in a position to rob a home run, but he's been in that position a lot. He had several of them, and you'll remember this on the crazy hill in the minor leagues. He had several where he had to climb that hill and jump over the wall. He already has, in my estimation, the best home run robbing catch in center field in Rockies history from just a couple of years ago, because that almost never happened. So I don't know why that particular play seems to find him.
He's like a magnet.
Yeah. Who's next on the list? Number 3, John Gray, by virtue of not doing anything this series and just having really been the steady rock in the rotation so far, the one guy who just hasn't been bad as a starter in any way. You don't have to look at it through a side angle, go through all that stuff I talked about with Marquez. Gray just looks good. He was giving quotes the other day about how he feels fantastic, how he's having much more fun this season than he's ever had in his career before. Like, Gray is locked in, and I think we could be in for a special season from him.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, for all intents and purposes, in my opinion, John Gray looks like the ace of the Colorado Rockies right now. He's got the lowest whip of starting pitchers. He has the lowest ERA. I mean, he's just looking really good. He has the most strikeouts with 12 so far. So, I mean, for all intents and purposes, I think John Gray is the ace of this team right now. And congratulations, you didn't do anything, so you're still on our list. Hey. All you have to do is not do anything or do bad, and you're still on the list.
Or no one else has to take your spot.
Right.
Scoring 4 runs this weekend.
Yeah. I mean, I know he's only gone out there twice now, but you couldn't ask for anything better from those 2 starts, except for to eat more bananas and drink mustard so you don't cramp.
Right.
So, I mean, he's awesome. I think he's done everything in his power to help this team. And like I said before, and I'll say it again, he very much looks like the ace of the Rockies right now.
I'm excited to see his start on Wednesday against the Dodgers in LA. It's going to be Gray versus May. So 2 redheads with long hair going against each other. Hey. Particularly, it'd be interesting to see how Gray does against his Dodgers team that saw him only a little more than a week ago at this point. Now, he may have the benefit of the Dodgers missing some of their guys. Bellinger's banged up. Betts is banged up. So, the lineup might not be full strength, but I don't care. I want to see Gray go out there and shove Dodger Stadium. He usually pitches fairly well in Southern California. We know he loves pitching in San Diego. So that's going to be an important matchup to see what he can do next week. And again, all he can do is control himself. That's been the biggest. That was one of the biggest, maybe not issues I had going into the season, was how the starting rotation was going to, carry this team, but with maybe the offense not being so great and maybe the defense maybe not coming through at times. What impact does that have on the pitchers who hey, it doesn't matter if I pitch 6 innings and I only give up 2 runs because we're not going to get it done. Well, they've had to deal with that at times here and there, and now it's going to be a much longer duration of time. But nevertheless, Gray. I mean, again, if Gray goes 6 innings and gives up 2 runs, that might not be enough against Dustin May and the Dodgers. But I still want to see Gray do that. That's still, hey, good on you, John. Check. Here's your chocolate. We're gonna keep you on the 20th Blaze list. Just for John Gray, I want to
on the list.
See him do that.
It's important stuff.
That's it. It's going to be the first question that Ed Henderson asks him, I think, on Wednesday night. We know that to be true.
I miss.
Are you hoping to get for that number 1 spot, John? Are you hoping?
Love it. All right, number 2. Trevor Story making his debut on the list. He really didn't get off to a hot start to the season. I think with everybody making this out to be Trevor Story, Charlie Blackmon, and a bunch of scrubs, the Rockies got off to a decent start and mostly did it without either of those 2 guys. Blackmon still kind of in a bit of a slump, really didn't have a good series at all here against the Giants. We're still waiting for him to make his debut on 20th and Blaze, but Story picking up, and Story, you could see it coming. Story definitely had been running into some bad luck there in Arizona. He was against Arizona, I should say. He was scorching some baseballs, and just they were finding the gloves of outfielders. Even before that, there were a couple. Even I'm remembering Cody Bellinger tracking down a few screamers into the gap. So Story breaking out of his slump a little bit here. Still sitting on 0 home runs for this season, though. So room to go up. Mac, we'll start with you on this one. Where are you at on the Trevor Story experience so far?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've been the most impressed with Trevor Story's defense more than anything. Obviously, he's in a hitting slump, so that's just kind of going to be the default answer, I guess. We all know that he's a great defensive shortstop, one of the best in the league. And I don't think his hitting slump is going to last forever. It can't, obviously. I think his bat's going to wake up, and hopefully sooner rather than later. But, you never can get too down on Trevor Story because he's just too good of a player for you to count him out at any time. So, I think when his bat does start waking up and he can start contributing offensively to the team, I think these games are going to be a lot closer than obviously getting swept by the Giants. The last 3 games showed us. So I'm not too worried about Trevor Story. I think he's going to be just fine, and he just has to keep doing what he's been doing defensively. And then if he can just get that bat to wake up, I think the Rockies are going to be in a little bit better of a position than they are right now.
Yeah, he was in that 0 for 14 slump. I think Charlie was in like an 0 for 11 slump.
After the cat ran on the field and Trevor Story was 0 for 14. I swear it was the cat. The cat was a curse.
It was. Yeah, he's now put together, 3 multi-hit games in the last 4 days. So he kind of broke out of that slump a little bit. Only 1 double, which, he was able to get today. But yeah, 0 home runs, only 1 stolen base. He even got caught stealing. So he wants to be one of those 30-30 boys. There's an interesting new feature that is on Baseball Savant where it shows you the expected home runs by ballpark. And so he has none because he hasn't hit any. If he played in LA or Cleveland or LA for the Angels or the Brewers or the Reds, he would have – how many home runs do you think he would have? What's reasonable for a week
4.
of games? Okay, 4. You can take the little over or the under on that, Michaela? What do you think?
I'll take the over.
You would be right, Michaela. I would have probably said about 4 as well. 6! According to StatCast,
Wow.
he would have had 6 in all of those ballparks. But yet, Colorado, none. Detroit isn't very favorable, so don't worry. Trevor Story will not be traded, most likely, to the Tigers. He would only hit 2 there, 3 in Houston. But yeah, that's really strange to think none.
That is strange.
So far in his first 10 games, and yet he would have 6 in a couple of other ballparks. That's one of those stats to kind of keep an eye on for all players over the course of the season and say,
yeah,
it's basically the DJ LeMahieu stat. Like, let's face it, it's the LeMahieu stat to look and go, hey, all right, LeMahieu had 18 home runs in Colorado. Cool, good for him. And meanwhile, Yankees analytics department looks and says, we can get about 32 out of those 18 in Colorado. That's absurd. That's absurd, right?
It is. And it's frustrating. Make the outfield at Coors Field smaller. That's just.
And paint one of the walls purple. Let's have a purple monster. Why not? Like, create more seats, figure it out.
It's ridiculous out there. All right, before we get to our final spot on 20th and Blaze, now is a perfect time to remind everybody to get yourself Manscaped. That's right, I said it. It's time. It's time to be the best version of yourself, and the best version of yourself is smooth, smells good, feels good, and you get taken care of when you take care of yourself. That's just how the karma of the Manscaped situation works. You can use code DNVR20 to get free shipping and 20% off at manscaped.com. Whether you're getting a new lawnmower 3.0, maybe you're getting some of that spritzer, a little bit of deodorant, the most comfortable pair of boxers you've ever worn in your life. Fellas, I tell you, you won't regret it. You got to treat yourself. And as it turns out, you may also be treating whoever's taking care of you if you Manscaped. Get Manscaped. It's the least you can do for yourself and for the people, the person that you care about. Well, I mean, it's entirely up to you. Your business is your business. I'm just saying, use promo code DNVR to get 20% off plus free shipping at manscaped.com. Also,
a haircut.
Also, one of the things that you can do if if you're at home, you're taking care of your Manscaped situation, you don't feel like going out because you got stuff to do at home. Well, maybe you still need to go see the doctor. You don't have time to drive in anywhere. You get on Zoom Care. No one likes going to the doctor, waiting in the long waiting room, sitting there, filling out stuff on a clipboard. I hate it. Get on a Zoom call instead. Go to zoomcare.com. It's ZOOMCARE.com. You can get all kinds of stuff done there. They've got, most of your typical procedure. Well, no, they're not doing the procedures. What they can tell you about prognosis. That's the word I was looking for. It's a different word that starts with a P and an R. But they can even deal with some mental health issues for you. It's a really fantastic situation, especially if you just need to get something checked out and you really don't want to go through the enormous hassle of getting down to the doctor's office. I cannot recommend it highly enough. Check them out at ZoomCare. That's ZoomCare.com. All right. And our number one on the 20th and Blaze, the hottest Rocky right now, is Ryan McMahon. It just is. He's the guy that's been the most fun to watch pretty much all season. He's been locked in. Another home run in this series that the Giants broadcasters laughingly said felt like a Coors Field home run, which is just...
Whatever that means. How can you say that on the road? Like, what does that even mean?
It's the kind of, this is why Rockies fans are so sensitive about stuff like curtain calls and all this other nonsense. Because how can you even say that? How can you hold Coors Field against them?
It's not PTSD. It's PCST. Post Coors.
It's stress disorder. Yeah,
stress disorder. There we go. It's too much.
That kind of stuff will drive you wild. But Michaela, what'll drive you wild in a much more exciting way is Ryan McMahon's swing right now. The guy's putting the barrel of the bat on the baseball.
Yeah, I mean, you guys kind of mentioned it. He had a really good day yesterday, going 2 for 4 with that go-ahead 2-run home run in the 5th inning, and his bat has just been on fire. You know, he's tied for first place in Major League Baseball right now for home runs, up there with JD Martinez. So, you know, it's a pretty good person to be on par with at this point in the season. So, you know, he's pretty much not the only, but the biggest contributing factor to the Rockies offense so far this season. So you just love to see it from that kid. He had an incredible defensive play to this series, right? That was a series. I'm getting my series mixed up.
I know he's had a few of them this year. He's had a couple of barehanders. He's had a couple of nice plays at third and at second. There was that play where he was maybe a little bit over aggressive and going for the lead runner, and he pulled Story off the bag. But Stowe made such a great play that ultimately, like, I kind of want to give McMahon, like, make a better throw there, but at the same time, he's so aggressive and athletic that he can move from third to second and just still do that. Is like, man,
that's just a lot of value, man. That has such huge value, having that versatility, especially on a team with guys who are nothing but versatile. So we got 5 home runs in 10 games. Who can do the math quicker? Over the course of a 162-game season, Ryan McMahon is on pace for how many home runs this year?
Boy.
Oh, God.
Do.
So
can't sing the rest of that song.
So it's got to be like 81?
81 on the button.
Whoa.
Okay, because he's hit a home run in half his games, right? So if he hit a home run in half the
yeah,
that's how you use math. Don't be afraid of it. Dive right into there. There you go, 81.
That was logic, actually, that I used there.
That's fine, yeah. I mean, now yesterday he was on pace for 90. He had 1 bad game, so he loses 9 home runs. So now he's only on pace for 81. And if this continues, who's to say? But he's looking good right now. No, he's been fantastic, and he's hitting lefties. He's hitting lefties really well. I mean, he's only had 9 opportunities, which is the thing that was very frustrating about opening day, him not getting the start. But he's 3 for 9 against lefties, and you know he needs to be an everyday regular. Give him a day off when he needs to get some rest. Doesn't matter who's the opposing starting pitcher. You need to see Ryan Mac's name penciled into the lineup.
Absolutely. I mean, not only is he tied for first in Major League for home runs, but he's leading the Rockies in every offensive category. So he's the hottest bat in the lineup. You're pretty much counting on him to be your run scorer anytime he comes up to the plate and contributing to the team in that way. So I don't know what else you could ask for him at this point. Like, he's just doing so good, and I'm really happy for him too. He's an easy guy to cheer for.
Are we not sure that Austin Garmer's still batting 1,000? I mean,
that's not a pitcher.
I think
he's in the lineup consistently.
I know. There's a lot of qualifiers in there. It's sounding to me like McMahon's case is the best hitter. He's not as good.
Herman Marquez also has a batting average right now.
Right.
Great.
But yeah, McMahon, we talked about it right before the season started, and I was comparing him to Carlos Gonzalez, right? And
good comparison.
Particularly in how he can go cold sometimes, and we've seen that at the major leagues, but how he can get really hot sometimes. And that when he gets hot, it tends to be what we're seeing right now, which even his outs are 102 mile an hour off the bat, line drives to the center fielder, right? Like the one where he moved up the runners today, where you go, oh man, even when he's not coming up with the hit or the home run or whatever, he's driving the baseball. His single back up the middle. I didn't have exit velo on today. I almost always do, and just didn't today for whatever reason. But I would imagine that was over 100 miles an hour easily. So I bet if you looked at his exit velos for the Rockies this year, I bet he's got like 5 of the top 10 on the team. He's just been crazy. I know Hilliard actually has. He may still have the hardest hit ball in baseball this year.
Didn't he like 107?
115, I think was, or 114. Yeah, Hilliard.
I missed that one.
He's a big boy. Yeah, McMahon right now just in all of baseball is an 86th percentile average exit velocity.
Yeah.
So dude's hitting the ball hard, getting those barrels.
Yeah. You love to see it. You love to see it. Got one more bill to pay, and luckily I'm smart enough to pay it because I got my education at MSU Denver online. Got real smart down there. You can tell from all of the fancy words that I'm using now. But no, seriously, folks, it's really great. You can earn your degree while you're working. That's one of the best things about it, is that it can fit into your schedule. The vast majority of people who are taking classes at msudenver.edu/online are also working and trying to earn money while earning their degree. It's a great way to be able to do it, whether you're trying to start up a new degree, finish up an old one, just pick up some new skills in your life, learn about something you've always been very passionate about. There's really no downside to getting more educated. The only thing in recent times might be, well, going into a school and all the, well, don't worry about it. Digital education, and not from people who just now learning about that, but people who are experts in it, who's built into the fabric of what they do. So check them out at msudenver.edu/online. Well, that was actually, I got to say, I'm giving a tip of the cap to the three of us. That was quite a bit of conversation about the actual baseball this weekend that I wasn't entirely sure, but we were going to be able to talk about all that. So we just got to get Michaela's second night of WrestleMania predictions then.
Yeah, what do you think? Oh man, I don't even want to.
Bunny review. Wait.
Do we know? I think you know who Bad Bunny is, right?
No.
Oh, that one's on you now, because he is very current. He's very modern.
Yeah,
Is he
Bad
a
Bunny
Spanish
is like
singer?
famous right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bunny.
All right. Yeah, I just don't listen to music.
You listen to his album,
YHMQLMQLABCDEFG,
his new album.
What is this nonsense?
It's something like that. He was great on Saturday Night Live. I'll say that. He was fantastic. Stuff. He did act in the scene there. He's going to be a big deal. He's going to be a big deal.
Good.
I don't even know what the main event is. What's the big main event tonight on WrestleMania?
I should know this, and I don't. I thought it was going to be the match they started with yesterday. The only one the Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley. We're losing Michaela entirely, and most of the audience, I'm sure.
Well, we have Roman Reigns against Daniel Bryan, against Edge, against Randy Macho Man Savage. Michaela, who do you think's going to win?
Which one of those?
Macho Man, right? Probably Macho Man.
Humans are. If you would have told me
Bryan
Johnson was wrestling today, I would have believed you. So
who? Charles Bronson or Action Bronson?
Rock Johnson.
Oh, I like that you have to say his full name.
There was a
Daniel Bryan is married to one of the Bell twins. Do you know the Miz?
On tonight.
No, I don't know anything about anything you guys are talking about.
He's on.
I would rather watch paint dry than watch WrestleMania. I watch baseball for fun, and that's saying a lot. So I
love it. Oh, did you guys see Hank Azaria on? I got to send everybody this clip, which was one of those late night shows. I think Colbert. Have you watched Brock Meyer? This is something we've got to, and I've only watched the first episode of it. We need to do a DNVR Rock, because I've only watched that first episode. I don't know that it was on anything free at first, but it was amazing. I'm a huge mark for Hank Azaria, first of all. But
Michaela likes him too.
Huge. I'm the president of the fan club, actually.
Yeah, although to be fair, Michaela, you did criticize him, and rightfully so, about all the Apu stuff from The Simpsons. So Michaela does know all about Hank Azaria.
Will's got my back in the comments here. Brock Meyer, right? The basic premise is that the guy is he was like kind of this big time sort of Harry Carey inspired baseball play-by-play man. And then he has one day where he just goes off on the mic about everything that's wrong with baseball and baseball fans and baseball players and his job and his company and everything. Just has the big blow up moment in scene 1, right, of the show. And so he's sent to do play-by-play at some just miserable midtown like minor league team that's
I want to say it's in New Orleans, isn't it? Maybe
that's
I've never seen the show, but
again, I've only watched one episode of it. And the woman, Amanda Peet is the name of the actor who like owns this little minor league. She's phenomenal. But the whole thing is great. And it's just like this little love letter to like baseball at its basics, but that he's this kind of old-timey broadcaster who's trying to find his way in the new world of baseball. And apparently he does a podcast as this character, just entirely as Brockmire. But his 5 minutes with Colbert ripping into modern baseball and
the character, I guess.
Yeah. I have to share this with you. It was fantastic. You'll love it. But it's so good. Brockmire. That's what we got to get on, because I don't think we're going to get Michaela over on any wrestling. That seems like
not Brock Lesnar, but Brockmire. I think Brockmire might like that.
Paint drying. So WrestleMania, then paint drying. But I think we can get Brockmire above.
Actually, Michaela, save it. This will be a nice little ribbon on everything. What and we started by Drew giving us credit, because I think that's the thing. We love baseball. We love analyzing it. We love doing all those things. So yes, we should get a pat on our back. But Michaela, and this could be the biggest thing that creates some conversation. Michaela E. Perkins, what is your favorite baseball movie?
Oh.
Yes. This is what this episode will be remembered for.
I'm scared to answer.
Don't say Mighty Ducks, because that's Drew's favorite.
We're gonna click, right?
Oh my God. Oh boy. I don't want to stir up some controversy with this.
How about give us your top 3 in no particular order? Give us just the top general 3 that come to mind, because this is hard. Like I have my favorite, but depending on the day you ask me, I might almost forget that movie because I'm in a different kind of mindset.
This actually might surprise you guys, because it's the one thing that you're going to be able to relate to, because you're both old.
Cut him, Mike.
What just happened?
This isn't that difficult. I think probably my favorite baseball movie, like it just edges it out by a little bit. Oh gosh, I'm scared. I think it's Major League.
Great choice.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I guess that's pretty old, isn't it?
I love that movie. I love Wild Thing. That would be my walk-up song. If I could have a walk-up song, if I played in Major League Baseball, hands down, that would be my walk-up song. And then I think the other 2 would be either Bull Durham, Moneyball. I love Moneyball. I know it's like more of a recent baseball movie, but
that's okay.
I love Moneyball.
Favorite movies are favorite movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So far, none of these are bad or even controversial.
Field of Dreams,
classic.
Let's not give away too much content here. I'm
sorry.
You got your top 4.
Okay.
So I love
your top 4.
Yes.
That's the one old thing that I'll watch that like was produced before like 2000 something.
Michaela, each time you use the word old in any context, I'm making a note, and I will then ask you about someone that you should know, and you probably don't. So careful with that word. Careful with that word.
It's funny though, because she said that and I was like so offended, and then she said Major League, and I thought back to like that movie was out when I was a child. Like that movie's pretty old.
It's like 89, same, but it's like ageless, and you're like, oh yeah, that had to have been made in a year that wasn't 2019. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess it is kind of old.
I actually I had surgery twice in a year, and each time I was recovering from surgery, I just watched old baseball movies. Is how I passed my time. So
nice.
Fantastic.
Big baseball movie girl. Anything else outside of that, I couldn't tell you.
I was gonna say, doesn't know Hank Azaria or Amanda Peet as well. Those are. It's not like. I mean, those are like B.
Nah,
they're not the top ones.
No,
those are
not egregious. Not knowing who Bruce Springsteen is.
No,
that you don't get a pass. But Azaria and Pete, the dynamic duo.
Yeah,
you don't even need to know who they are, to be honest. No offense, Hank.
All right, yeah, we'll have to do a whole baseball movie. I know Patrick and I have talked baseball movies before, but we got to get all Michaela's takes.
Fresh perspective.
It's a whole new thing.
So. I have a lot of takes. I have seen probably all of them. So
what we really could do is at the bar, we could play a movie and we could just pretty much do a Mystery Science Theater 3000 where all three of us have a mic and we're chiming and pointing out different things and ruining the movie ultimately
Totally
for people in the audience, but they'll love it.
That'd be fantastic. So if you want to see all kinds of stuff like that, well, one, you got to be subscribed to our YouTube channel. That's where all of the hijinks do occur. You won't miss anything if you're subscribed there. You click the bell icon. You do all of that good stuff. You make sure that you're joining us for these series wrap-ups, and you're not missing our pregame shows where we're helping you make a little bit of money. You don't want to miss those. So subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you're subscribed to the website, the DNVR.com. So you become a member of the family. You get discounts on hats and shirts and masks. You get a bigger beer when you come down to the DNVR bar. And if you order that annual subscription right now, we'll hook you up with a free t-shirt and a free holistic stick from Holistic Wellness. It's HOLISTIK wellness.com to check out all the fantastic reviews. You can also use promo code DNVR30 to get 30% off there. But the biggest thing really is become a member of the family. You get discounts on all kinds of stuff. You get to hang out with us. You get to have fun all the time, share your favorite baseball movies. Tell us who you want to win WrestleMania, or if you would rather watch paint dry. Whatever it is, we're here for all of it. That's what families do. So thank you all for hanging out with us, for continuing to be absolutely awesome out there. I promise you, we will continue to be absolutely Patrick Lyons, Michaela Perkins, Drew Kreisman, and Ali Monroy behind the scenes in here. And until next time, we will see you at the ballpark.